And welcome back to another episode of the Decatur Dish. I am Maria Moreau with Atlanta News First, joined by our media partners at Decaturish and the one and only Dan Wisenhunt. I almost tripped over my words there, but caught myself. Hey, Dan, it's Tuesday. It's a great time to talk about DeKalb County and the latest of what's happening in one of Metro Atlanta's biggest growing communities. And it is lovely weather outside. Let's just start by acknowledging that.
It is beautiful. I would like to say happy Decaturish Hype Week to all who celebrate. We got some things to talk about today, mainly this beautiful publication right here coming to a Decatur near you on March 20th. We're going to talk about it in a little bit.
Well, before we get into that lovely newspaper that you have in your hand, because I do have some questions for you, let's talk about some of the headlines that we've been following, both on Atlanta News First and at Decaturish.com. I want to start by taking folks out to Decatur and talking about this story really that has been coming back in the news as the case develops. DeKalb County prosecutors have dropped murder charges against 2 teens in the killing of a MARTA bus driver, but the case against the third juvenile that is allegedly involved and accused to be the shooter is set to move forward. Now, Dan, prosecutors are saying that this all started as an argument over unpaid bus fare.
It started over nothing. It really, it's a story that kind of makes me sick because so many lives were upended over what amounts to nothing and people having hot tempers and access to firearms. The bus driver who died was Leroy Amos. His family's devastated. The 16-year-old's family is devastated. They have not decided whether to charge him as an adult. I suspect they will because those are adult crimes, and they usually make their way to adult court, but we will find out about that. DA did review the charges against the other 2 youths that were there and determined that they had nothing to do with it, so cleared them. So that is where that case stands. It happened in Decatur back in January. I will say I find the case is moving pretty quickly for criminal cases. Sometimes those things will drag out for 3 or 4 years, but I think the higher profile the case, the more attention it gets. So I was a little surprised to hear that they had made charging decisions this early, but that is probably an indication that they're expecting a quicker than usual resolution on this. So we'll see what happens.
And the conversation that this case has started, not only did a family lose their loved one, but the community really felt this loss personally. And there was a lot of conversation about public transportation and safety and advocacy for MARTA workers. So a lot has branched out from this story, and we're going to continue to cover it as this case develops. Dan, if anyone has been to Decatur recently, chances are you might have found yourself on the town square. Well, there are some major changes coming to Decatur Square. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So last night they approved a $7 million contract to redo the whole thing. The Decatur Square is going to look quite different in about a year. They're trying to get it all done before the World Cup arrives in 2026. Current time frame is about 10 months to complete. They should break ground on it in 6 weeks. It's going to have some interesting ripple effects in our community. Of course, a lot of our festivals and events are held at the Decatur Square. Amplify is usually held at the square. We have the Arts Festival that's there. The Book Festival has a lot of presence in the square. So for the next year or so, our whole festival scene that we're known for is going to be a little different. It's going to look a little different. But hopefully there's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a new stage. There's going to be a new play area for the kids. I don't know if people know that whole statue there with the kids playing, that's going to be moved. And that's actually supposed to have a fountain, but that fountain hasn't worked in a number of years for a few reasons. So they're gonna move that statue. They're going to extend the actual square into North McDonough a little bit. It's going to be a different place, but it's reminds me a little bit of the history of Decatur, where it was not there at all until they had the MARTA expansion and they sort of built up the square around it. The square has looked like it has looked for a very long time. They've had to replace the grass on it a number of times because people are always standing on it because there's always stuff happening there. And I think they've got synthetic turf now, which is just easier to maintain. But there have been a lot of issues with the square as well, access to restrooms being chief among them. So this is hopefully going to address all that, fix all that, and bring the square up to date, make it a little more modern, and make it ready for all the visitors from all over the world who are going to be visiting Atlanta in 2026. Hopefully, we hope you'll come visit us in 2026.
Yeah, there's some really awesome businesses around there. And to add to that, this project is going to be about $8.5 million. Is that correct?
That's got the budget for that. So $7 million is for the actual construction contract. 8.5 is for the budget. People have been asking whether that's a reasonable price. I would argue, given the time frame and the current state of inflation, probably. I don't know a whole lot about construction contracts, but the $7 million increase, once they start tearing that apart and seeing what's underneath it, they might discover utilities that they didn't know were there. A bunch of stuff can happen when you're doing a project. What I find interesting is while Decatur is redoing its square, so many of our communities around us, like Avondale Estates and Tucker, are building their own version of it. Avondale Estates is building the town green, Tucker's building its town green, and Decatur was really the forerunner here locally of that sort of idea of creating the space where everyone can gather for these events. And we saw how the business and the economy sort of boomed around it. Didn't hurt that there was a public transit station right there as well, so you could just zoom right into Decatur and not have to worry about parking. But as these other communities are starting to create their own public green spaces, Decatur is completely wiping the slate clean and doing it all over again.
Right, and so much is going to come out of that as far as business, as far as driving people in, as you said. So a lot to look out for, a lot to follow from both us here at Atlanta News First and, of course, Decaturish. Another important story that we wanted to tell folks about, especially if you are a DeKalb County homeowner, you might want to check your mail. There is a homestead exemption that is due by April 1st. Their application has to be in, and April 1st is going to come sooner than you think.
Right. If you have any property in DeKalb County and you have lived here as of January, I believe, if you have a state-issued ID, if you have cars and vehicles that are registered in DeKalb, you want to make sure you're taking advantage of these homestead exemptions. And there are some that are based on age. There are some, I think our family has one just because we're first-time homeowners. There are a variety of homestead exemptions out there, and if you are in DeKalb County, you know how hard this can be. You know how hard it can be to keep up with the rising cost of housing prices and what that does to your taxes. What a lot of people don't realize is that even homeowners who are still paying off their mortgage are affected by the increases in property taxes because that affects your escrow. And a lot of people from the outside don't think about that part of it, but what we do, in addition to the homestead tax exemptions, which you should absolutely 100% take advantage of if you're eligible for it, give yourself some relief there. I always appeal my property taxes every year. Just a little pro tip for the homeowners in DeKalb County. Not because I expect to win, because you're never going to beat the county on comparables. They've always got, if you go in, you can bring your 10 comps, they'll bring their 10 comps, and they'll always side with them. But what that does do is it freezes your assessments for 3 years, so it gives you hopefully a little bit of time to catch up. So you can earn a little bit more, keep up with the cost of these payments. But yes, a good reminder to everybody, if you are out there, if you live in DeKalb County and you own your own property, go visit the tax commissioner's website and see what tax exemptions you qualify for. And as it would so happen, we actually have an item about that in our upcoming print edition,
I was going to
Decaturish
say,
Ink.
you brought this in this morning, and we've been talking about this for such a long time. Dan has lost sleep, pouring his mind and soul into this newspaper, and so holding it just feels surreal. And
Zoe Seiler, too, I want to mention.
And
we've
shout out
both.
to Zoe Seiler. Let's talk about this for a minute. Decaturish.com has been a steady presence for the DeKalb County community, for the Decatur community, and a lot of folks have gravitated toward the website to get local news and updates about what's happening in their community. So why print?
That is an excellent question. A lot of publications are doing print products. Some are moving into that market. There's a basic trust issue. There's been polling that has consistently shown people are more likely to trust a paper. It's something they can hold in their hands. The bigger issue that I find that a lot of people don't think about is the digital ad market is determined by companies like Google and Facebook, and they are our competitors. We depend on them to refer people to our website so we can sell ads based on the number of people who visit, but they also set the digital ad rates. So if we want to charge $100, Google or Facebook might charge $25, and they're able to do things that scale differently than we can. We do a really good job. Our sales and marketing team, headed by Debbie Inglis, does a terrific job of maximizing the value and profitability of Decaturish.com. But every news business, for it to be sustainable, has to have a diversified revenue stream. That's why we have paid subscriptions. That's why we sell ads on our emails. And that is why we have a print edition, because it is a metric that we control. We can tell you how many people are reading it. We can dictate how many people are reading it. And we don't have to compete against any bigger companies like Google or Facebook or any of the search engines. We do a really good job with our content. We bring a lot of original stuff out that nobody else is reporting on in our community. So many times we find we're the only reporter there. And when we break big stories, last night was a great example. We broke that story about the square renovation, and several TV stations showed up to cover it on their own. So Decaturish is really the bellwether publication in DeKalb County and has been for a long time. So print is really just a logical extension of what we do. It is going to add so much value to the company as a whole, and over time that's going to allow us to use more freelancers. It's going to allow us to hopefully hire more people and cover more stuff, bring a product to the market that is covering things that nobody else is covering. And that is the goal for me, is to create a publication for all of DeKalb County, north, south, east, west. I want Decaturish to represent the entire community. So many publications that you see nowadays target one slice of a community, and they kind of ignore everybody else. We want to be the paper of record for this whole county, Maria.
And I'm just looking through some of this. This is a really outstanding newspaper. I want to talk about this for a moment.
Oh, the bingo.
I don't see this on Decaturish.com, but the bingo it's very DeKalb specific. Talk to me about that.
So this was an idea that I had. I'll say that growing up, the publications that I loved the most were the ones where it genuinely looked like the people who were doing it were having a lot of fun doing it. And one of the things I love about Decaturish Ink, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Mike over at Appen News, because he was the one, I believe, who came up with Decaturish Ink as a name. And it just goes to show what Appen has brought to the table. It's a whole team of people who have creative ideas, who want to see this thing grow. And the bingo thing is something that we're going to have people fill out over the course of the year, and then they're going to turn it in, and we're going to have some kind of swag. So we're going to have, hats and shirts and mugs and all of that stuff. We're going to put some instructions later for people to turn this in. It's got stuff that's, funny, like weather. Well, that's not funny. Let's find something. Popped a tire on a metal plate in DeKalb County. Those damn planners is another one. Just stuff that people in DeKalb County are familiar with and know about. And we hope that people will find it entertaining. And we're going to try to do something fun in every issue. We might not get there because sometimes it's hard to be amusing when you're on a deadline. But I'm hoping that necessity will be the mother of invention there. And at least more often than not, we'll have something really fun in every issue, in addition to all the great content that people can interact with and engage with. Because I think print publications should be something that is more than just a passive experience.
Certainly. And let's talk about how people can find this and launch dates, because you've got a lot of people excited, waiting to see this pop up in their neighborhoods. But when exactly is this all happening?
March 20th is our launch date for this officially. There are some copies of this floating out in the wild right now. But March 20, if you go to Decaturish.com/ink, you can see our whole distribution map. More importantly, for those of you watching, if you want this in your driveway every week, go ahead and go to Decaturish.com/ink and sign up, be put on our distribution list. The way that works is if enough people in a certain area sign up for it, we will deliver. And the fun thing about this is Decaturish has been this thing that I have worked on for a long time. And sometimes when you're so focused on something, you feel like you're isolated and you don't realize the impact that you have on other people. And the response to this has really been amazing. People have asked us, oh, where can we get a copy? Oh, can you deliver that to my business? Oh, my church wants this. Oh, my nursing home wants this. And the amount of demand in our community for this product it's humbling. It really is humbling to know that this thing that our team has poured so much energy and love into has resonated with people to a degree that when we come out with a print product, that they're the first ones to say, please put this in my backyard. That's a good sign. That's a good sign for the viability of this product. It's a testament to the relationship that we've built with our audience over the years, and it means a whole heck of a lot to our whole team. We are very appreciative of the response we've received.
And we are excited for your March 20th launch. Again, Decaturish.com/ink is going to be the website. And in the meantime, the news never stops, and both Atlanta News First and Decaturish are on top of it here in DeKalb County and across Metro Atlanta and Georgia. So where can folks connect with Decaturish?
They can find Decaturish Ink at Decaturish.com/ink. Take a look there for the distribution locations. Decaturish.com is where you can get our news. Locally sourced news is where you can sign up for our free daily email. And also, if you want to support us, download the Atlanta News First Plus app, please. It's a great way to support our partners at Atlanta News First and to support this show on Atlanta News First that airs every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m.
And with that, we will see you next Tuesday right here on Decatur Dish on Atlanta News First Plus. Make it a great day.